Kirk Hammett, we're here at the O2 Centre. How do you feel now, Death Magnetic's finally out?
Pretty great. I mean, I could probably go on for hours and hours and hours on how great it feels to like finally be at a point where we're done with the album. We're very satisfied on how it's turned out. Very pleased that you know it's finally out there now and people are responding to it and understanding it. Because, you know, to me, really, it's just a question of understanding our motives, you know, whenever we make an album. And it seems like people understand this one pretty easily. You know, our previous things have been a little bit harder to understand.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a whole nother conversation altogether. But, I mean, I have to say, I'm just really psyched, you know, that people are psyched themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. After the sort of well-documented troubles surrounding Saint Anger, what did you have any ground rules laid down before starting this album to make things run as smoothly as possible?
Yeah. No bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, right after the monster movie came out, that's what James calls it, so I've adopted that. After the monster movie came out, you know, at that point, we had already, you know, grown as people and had matured so much more and dealt with all the issues that we had to deal with, and we were just ready to just hop on the next train and go, you know, now that Rob was on board. And now it just seems like a distant memory, or it did at the time when we reconvened to start writing songs in 2005 or whatever it was. And, you know, the energy in the studio was pretty fantastic because we're four guys, you know, in a room again, and we liked being with each other, all, you know, happy to be at that point again in time, which is, you know, about to, like, you know, record our next album. And, you know, even back then, which is almost 3 years ago, it seemed like Saint Anger was just some bad dream, you know, that we had to go through. Don't get me wrong, I love Saint Anger, and I will defend that album to the end of my life. Mm-hmm. You know, I think it's a great album. It was essential for the time. I mean, it was. I view it as a bridge from what was happening then to now, and we had to experience all that to get to where we are now. And, you know, I had such a great time recording this album. It was very emotional for me because, you know, we were trying to write and record an album, and at the same time, my wife and I had our first son, yeah. And then just like literally 10 weeks ago, we had our second son. And so in that course of time, I managed to sire 2 children, and so it was a very emotional experience as far as my family life and how they impacted my musical life and how the two kind of weaved together. And I was so inspired at one point because, you know, I had finally started to have a family, and a lot of that inspiration I just channeled back into the album, and you know, it was just a good thing overall.
Cool. So yeah. How's fatherhood treating you?
Really good. Oh, you know, I can use a little bit more sleep here and there, and it's weird because I have to go out on tour to get rest, which just doesn't make sense at all, but it's just the reality of it. That's what happens, and when you have kids and you go out on tour. I mean, when you have kids, you wake up every 2 or 3 hours at night, you know. At least on a tour, I could stay out all night and sleep in all day.
That's cool. One question you must be asked a lot is the solos are back on Death Magnetic.
Yeah. Which is weird to me because whenever I pick up my guitar, I solo like every single minute that I have a guitar in my hands, and it didn't dawn upon me that, you know, yeah, I was hearing solos in my head, you know, for the last 30 years or something, but you know, the outer world wasn't hearing solos. But I mean, yeah, you're going back to your question.
Yeah, just were you happy to you know, solo again on the new album and sort of
I mean,
reign?
You know, when I now that the album's out and I can kind of look back at it at some hindsight, and you know, it seems like everybody's just loving the solos. I would think that they would be happy about it because those are the first guitar solo sections that are in Metallica's song in this millennium.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I guess it has been a long time because the last time I put down a guitar solo was like for S&M in 1999 or I Disappear in 2000 or something or other.
Yeah.
I don't know if those really count. But I listened to some stuff on Reload, some guitar solos, and I was scratching my head thinking, wow, man, my head was just in a really different place. My playing was in a really different place back then, and it's in a completely different place now. And I was just kind of looking at the growth I've made as far as playing my instrument, and I think it's a little evident that, you know, I've grown a little bit on my instrument. My chops are kind of like taking a different shape and form nowadays.
Yeah. So the album was released as a download for Guitar Hero 3. Have you played any of the Metallica songs on the game? Or?
I've only played Guitar Hero once, and it was against Lars.
Right.
He insisted he wanted to play with me. I trounced him.
Yeah.
He was like so pissed off afterwards. He just like threw the controller down and walked out the room because he's been playing for a while.
Yeah.
You know, he plays his kids all the time. And I said, "Don't worry, bro, man. I have an unfair advantage over you."
Nice. So last night you performed to about 400 people at the BBC Broadcasting House. How is it to play an intimate show again? Because you do it every so often for the
you know. I like it, you know. It's quite a different sort of situation, you know, from what we're used to, because for the last 3 years we've been going out and playing festivals, you know, anywhere from like 30,000 to 90,000 people. And to just walk out in a small room, you can see all four walls, you know, there's a ceiling overhead, you can see everyone in the front row and talk to them. Mm-hmm. You know, it was quite refreshing to be in that sort of environment again. And it reminded me of a small club. And it was great. I mean, I thought that, you know, we had a lot of fun. And did you catch the misfire on Master Puppets?
Yeah, it was
cracked me up. I love when moments like that happen. Yeah. And then, you know, we just kind of ham it up.
Yeah. No, there was a lot of, you know, it was just a great night, and all the fun was, you know, you could see all the band were having fun. Yeah. So is that representative of where you all are at now? Just
yeah, I would say so. I mean, you know, as far as that's where we were at as of last night.
Yeah, excellent. So in a couple of hours you'll be playing to about 20,000 fan club members. How do you cope with the kind of fluctuations of playing in front of like a handful of people in Metallica terms to, you know, a small town's worth of people?
Yeah, well, we're used to that sort of dichotomy, because I mean, we've done that. We've played, you know, smallest places about the size of a small room right here, and we've played some of the biggest places there is to play. We know how to handle each sort of situation accordingly. I'm personally looking forward to it because I love playing in the round, and you know, it's a new stage, and so it's kind of fun and challenging for us. And we're also playing new songs for our core audience, you know, our fan club and contest winners, and that's always fun because you know that every note we make, they're right there with us, you know, every beat of the way.